What would you do if the man you loved turned out to be someone entirely different from who you thought he was? She never believed in love stories that began on the streets, yet life has a way of testing the heart when it least expects. Every morning, she walked past the food stall near the market, carrying her books, her hair loosely tied. Her eyes tired, yet determined. She worked 2 jobs and studied at night, her life a cycle of struggles, dreams, and unspoken prayers. That was when she first noticed him, a young man with worn-out shoes, sitting quietly near the tea shop, sketching on an old notebook. He never looked up, never spoke to anyone, but there was something about the way his eyes softened when they met hers. At first, she ignored it. She had no time for distractions, but fate wasn't going to let her walk away so easily. One rainy evening, when she stood under a broken street lamp with no umbrella, he appeared. Without a word, he held his own umbrella above her head, quietly, letting the rain soak him instead. That silent gesture broke something inside her. For the first time in years, she felt seen, felt protected. Days turned into weeks, and slowly she found herself drawn to him. His life seemed simple. He spoke about odd jobs, about the struggle to pay rent, about finding joy in the smallest things. He had a laugh that lit up the dullest of evenings. She thought he was poor like her. Maybe that's why she trusted him. Because in him, she saw someone who understood hunger, pain, and the weight of dreams that seemed too heavy to carry alone. But what she didn't know was this: behind those old clothes, behind that humble smile, was a man hiding a secret. A man born into wealth, carrying a last name that opened doors she could never dream of entering. A man pretending to be poor, not out of cruelty, but because he wanted something money could never buy: love that was real. Sometimes the greatest lies are told not with words, but with silence. The more she met him, the more her heart softened. He was different from anyone she had known. While others around her judged her for her worn-out dresses and second-hand books, he never once made her feel small. Instead, he admired her courage, her ability to keep going despite life's storms. He would bring her tea when she studied late at the market stall. He would walk. Love has a strange way of testing us. It shows up when we least expect it, challenges every truth we thought we knew. Weeks turned into months, and their bond grew stronger. She found herself waiting for him every evening, her heart beating faster at the sound of his footsteps. Wasn't just a passerby anymore. He had become her safe place. The one person who made her forget how cruel the world could be. But deep down, he carried a secret. Every laugh they shared, every promise his eyes made, felt like a knife twisting in his chest. He wasn't who she thought he was. He wasn't poor. He wasn't struggling. He was the heir to one of the city's largest companies, a man who had everything but chose to hide it. Why? Because he wanted to be loved for who he was, not for his wealth. And in her presence, he felt free like a man, not a bank account. But every day, guilt grew heavier. The closer she came to him, the more dangerous the truth became. One rainy night, as they sheltered under the same umbrella, she whispered, "Sometimes I feel like you're hiding something from me." "Who are you really?" His breath caught. He wanted to tell her, to confess everything, but fear chained his tongue. He only smiled weakly and said, "I'm just a man who's lucky enough to have met you." She believed him for now, but fate was preparing a storm neither of them could escape. The truth always finds a way to come out, especially when love is built on secrets. It was an ordinary afternoon when her world began to shake. She had gone to deliver flowers to a new client, a request that came with generous payment. When she entered the grand office building, her eyes widened at the polished floors, the glittering chandeliers, the kind of wealth she had only seen from afar, and then her heart stopped. There he was, dressed in an expensive suit, surrounded by men who bowed their heads when he spoke. His name echoed across the room. Not the name she knew, not the simple man she had grown to love, but the identity of a billionaire everyone in. The city recognized her basket of flowers nearly slipped from her hands. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but all she could do was stare. He turned, saw her, and his confident expression shattered into panic. After the meeting, he rushed. To her, his voice trembling, "Please, let me explain." her eyes filled with tears. "Explain. You lied to me every moment, every word. Was it all fake?" "No," he pleaded, reaching for her hands. "It was real. Every smile, every heartbeat between us, it was the only real thing in my life." But she stepped back, shaking her head. Her trust had cracked, and with it, the fragile world they had built together. She left without another word, her footsteps echoing louder than her sobs. That night, he sat alone in his empty mansion, drowning in regret. For the first time, all his money, all his power, meant nothing. He had the world at his feet, but without her, he had nothing at all. Sometimes love isn't about perfection, it's about the courage to fight for what feels impossible. Days turned into weeks. She tried to move on, but his face haunted her dreams. Every time she sold flowers, she remembered how he had once stopped to help her, how he had smiled without judgment. But now that smile felt like a cruel reminder of betrayal. He, on the other hand, refused to give up. Every morning, he sent roses to her small shop with a single note. "I'm sorry, please let me prove it." She never replied. But her heart betrayed her every time she held those roses close before tossing them away. One evening, as rain poured over the city, she found him standing outside her shop, soaked, exhausted, yet unyielding. "I don't want your money," she cried. "I just wanted honesty." He stepped closer, his voice raw. "Then take everything else away. Strip me of my name, my wealth, my power. But don't strip me of you. Because without you, I'm nothing." Her tears blurred her vision, but in that moment, she finally saw the truth, not the billionaire, not the disguise, but the man who had chosen to walk away from a world of privilege just to be by her side. She broke down, falling into his arms. The rain couldn't wash away their pain, but it did baptize a new beginning. For the first time, she believed him not because of his words, but because of his willingness to lose everything for her love. The next morning, headlines flashed everywhere. "Billionaire rejects high society for a flower girl." Some mocked him, others pitied him, but slowly admiration spread. People whispered, perhaps money isn't everything. Perhaps love still wins. She no longer feared the world's judgment. She no longer doubted his heart. Together they faced the storms hand in hand, stronger than ever. Her flowers still bloomed each day, but now they weren't just for survival, they were for love. Every rose she touched carried a new meaning, a promise, a memory, a future. From a lie they found the truth, from pain they built trust. And from two broken souls they created a love story the world would never forget.